We bought a bus!
Dragon, we just bought a bus!
We bought a bus! Oh my god!
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to the channel. For those of you who are first-time viewers here, my name is Johnny. My girlfriend Reagan and I have been converting a school bus for the last year into our full-time home on wheels, and welcome to the journey. For those of you who are coming back, thank you for coming back. And if you're coming back, you should go ahead and subscribe. If you're a first-time viewer, you're gonna watch this video and probably want to subscribe because this video is about our first year of bus ownership. So Reagan and I purchased the bus actually last January 4th, which is that clip you just saw. And it's January 7th, Thursday, today, the day this video is coming out. And I wanted to release a video about our first year of bus ownership because it's really been a whirlwind, guys. And for those of you who have been watching, you know that. And if you're new and still have to watch some videos, you'll hopefully learn that watching more of our videos. But I thought it would be fun to do kind of a one-year recap and watch through some of our old videos. So what I've done is I've actually gone ahead and rough chopped through a lot of our old video and gone through a lot of it, and basically I'm going to talk through this and use this as an opportunity to kind of reminisce on the work that we've done this past year. Now, we didn't start actually converting the bus until February because we used it as a shuttle bus for my sister's wedding, which was fun, but it's about a year of bus ownership, so we'll say it's about a year of bus conversion work. But I thought it would be fun to just kind of live go through this, and I'll put myself in the corner and we'll talk through some of the fun and some of the ups and downs we've had and give you guys a glimpse into our first year of converting a bus. Now, our hope is to be done this coming March or June, which June would be about a year and a half for us. So we've got some work to go yet. Without further ado, let's get into watching some of this video. All right, starting from the beginning here. First day's taking out the first bolts. Everybody usually starts with the chairs, right? First bolt broke right away. That was the story of all of this. But as we went back, some of the other bolts didn't break, but definitely gonna need Sawzall at times. Definitely gonna need some PB blaster, good breaker bar, and then we just stashed these behind the building for a while. I remember this feeling of like thinking we had so much space all of a sudden. You can see Reagan super excited here, and then we took out these upper cabinets that held a lot of lights and things, and it just opened it up even more. And I just remember that feeling of like, wow, realizing the space, which was pretty cool. And it was fun to just start tinkering with stuff and taking stuff apart, figuring out how everything's connected, how the wiring is routed through everything. You're really just kind of peeling back the layers and going bit by bit, which is fun to learn. So a lot of little nuts and bolts, a lot of stripped, rusted. You learn that throughout the build, but it's part of it, and you're gonna get good at taking strip stuff out. Tearing up the floor is fun, but man, whew, it's there's a lot of dirt and things ground into that carpeting, and we found that out. Probably should have been wearing masks. We might have lost a few years off of our lives there. So here we are. This rubber stuff was just brittle from over the years, breaking it up, but crowbars are your best friends when it comes to demolition, as you can see here. So once we got some things and we needed more sealing out, we needed to get into the back. The guy who sold us the bus was supposed to send us keys to get in back here, but Mr. Crowbar did the job, so that was easy enough. And then we actually found interesting finds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's when we prized.
Oh, I was saying,
yeah,
on board or something.
9, 10, 11.
Oh my gosh.
Well, this was like a church.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, the church, this is a church bus, and they had 11 brooms in the back. But then you can see we could keep cutting into the ceiling here and just peeling away at the layers, like I said. So that was a decorative kind of finishing piece of fiberglass that was screwed into the inside. Had to take out an AC unit and started just guessing at wires to snip, but
Just
I have some concerns.
Regan wasn't the biggest fan of it, but that's okay. But this is really when the fun started, guys. This is when we got into our top layer that we realized we had water damage, and we were really figuring out the structure of the bus. I mean, we knew this stuff had to come out. I look at it, it's just absolutely rotten. And so we knew it had to come out, and there was an outer layer still, obviously. But we also knew that this was somewhat structural. Obviously, this was 2 pieces of molded fiberglass with this inner cardboard structure in the middle. But it was all kind of delaminated because there was so much moisture in there. Look at it, it's just this gross, wet honeycomb. So that was pretty much the whole back of the bus and the ceiling. It stopped about at the emergency exit, but we knew we were gonna have to take it out all the way, just from a safety standpoint, you know, not wanting mold and just the possibility of it up there. We just wanted to strip everything and get all the rot and everything that we could out of there. So that included going all the way to the front. At that point, we knew we were gonna be tearing into things pretty deeply. So here we're kind of prepping the window frames. We were trying to still figure things out at this point. You know, there's a lot of how much do we take out, how much don't we need to take out. Regan got to learn a lot of tools here, you know, using an angle grinder, things like that. But here you can see, you know, we took that cardboard layer out and that inner layer out all the way to the back, just because it was rotten, and, you know, didn't want that in the bus, but felt like we could build structure back in a way which we, I think, have proven now that we've done a good job of that. This was a day that we just needed a break from the fiberglass. Regan, that is her probably least favorite thing she's ever done on the bus. So we decided to take the vinyl off the outside. It's kind of a nicer day. This is back in probably, gosh, I don't even know. Couldn't even tell you. I think it was getting a little cooler. But these chair rails we thought we were gonna use. Oh wait, this is a good part.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so that happened, but we're gonna have a cool new back door now, and that thing was coming off anyways. But then we decided to take out the windows. Windows needed to be resealed, and we wanted to rust treat these metal frames. Now, not all shuttle buses have this style of framing in between the windows. I'm very thankful ours does, just because it gave some structure and added some structure to the side of the bus, definitely, because we really ended up tearing it all the way out. You can see it, we tore out all the way out the walls here, that same fiberglass, and we're starting to build some structure back in. We thought we were going to use the existing chair rails, but we'll find out later that those are also kaput from rust. So this is some of the decorative fiberglass panel from the ceiling that we took and made some repurposed window covers with it. So these are blocking off areas where we're going to have the windows blocked off. Again, prepping some window frames, putting these back in. We had 2-piece windows like most shuttle buses do. Inner window frame, outer window frame is smushed together with screws. And here's, you can see how floppy the wall is, and just it's totally separated basically from the side of the bus, which was, at this point it was still kind of connected at one area, so we still had more to cut out there. Old tarp, oh, the days of putting the tarp on and off. I put that tarp on and off so many times.
Let the cringing begin. Ta-da! Pretty much what we thought we were gonna encounter. So yeah, as you can tell, we're gonna be replacing some cross members.
Yeah, so that's when we discovered the true extent of our rust issue and how much rust we had underneath our flooring and in the cross members of the bus. We knew the chassis rails of the bus were good, but when we bought it, I had no idea to look for something like that, and even the diesel mechanic we had didn't say anything about it and said things looked good. So we knew the rust was repairable, we could replace it, but we knew it was all coming out, and so that's what happened. You could see how much metal we cut out here. and we did metalwork and rust work for a long time. There's a lot of cutting it out strategically and figuring out how to cut out what could we, is kind of a grid sitting on top of the chassis rails, but it was a lot of, just learning. And then, I'm not a welder, so I had to bring a welder in. So this was a super exciting day because we've had these poles in there. You can see the poles that if you watch videos, have been there forever. But those were helping give the bus some shape and, structure because the walls were separated. So this is how we're reattaching the walls and rebuilding the whole frame. And it turned out super well. Super sturdy. And this is where we're bolting it, actually, the walls to the frame of the bus that we've rebuilt. And that was a super exciting day because then the bus became like a solid structure again. And we could move it again for the first time in I don't even know how long. So that was super exciting and nice to be done kind of with some metalwork. You'll see we had the welder come back like 2 or 3 times just to finish up some various things that we needed to add and whatever. But then we sandblasted and coated the whole frame. So sandblasting is a wet and messy job. We did wet sandblasting, broke a window in the process, so that was really good, But we used Pour 15 to coat the whole frame. Did some oil changes randomly here. Taught you guys how to do that. Go check out that video if you want to know how to do an oil change on your bus. But changing up the projects sometimes here and there. And then we were back to getting the subfloor done. So this is undercoating all the marine plywood that we use, and then we're starting to seal the edges before we put the various layers of sheet metal and plywood in there. We had been dancing around on this frame for a long time, so to actually start to have a floor was an incredible feeling, and just to walk around in the bus and not be dancing on metal was wild, for lack of better terms. We couldn't get this back piece in the first day just because some things that were happening back there with the fiberglass and whatever, but then we started a big project, and that was painting the outside of the bus. So a lot of Bondo, worked with a lot of Bondo, and got very familiar with a sander and Bondo, and just learning. I had never worked with Bondo before, so some of it may not look the greatest or whatever, but I'm no body shop guy, and it turned out pretty darn good if I do say so myself. So this was super exciting to actually start seeing the bus changing color to what we're gonna have it be. This is just a primer layer, so it's not all white. If you know the bus, it's not all white. But then we started putting the color on, and color at first was a little shocking. Reagan was especially worried because she didn't want a really bright blue, and neither did I. We wanted a pretty dark blue, and we didn't want a really glossy blue either. So it was turning out pretty light, and it wasn't supposed to be that light. But we were doing it over a white coat. You could see we sanded, and we got really familiar with sanding and coating the bus. We did it, I think we did 5 or 6 coats total to get the final finish and look and coverage that we wanted, and there's still maybe some spots we have to touch up eventually, but man, we are very thankful for the people who helped us. Kev, my cousin Kev, Nick, Caroline. I mean, we're thankful for everybody who's helped us on the build so far, but especially during this project because it's just such a massive undertaking. Here's the day we finally pulled it out. Oh, short clip there. But then we started to tackle the ceiling and putting some reinforcement back in. So all that stuff we had cut out, it was time to put some reinforcement back in, and adhering 2x4s to the ceiling was how we're going to do that. So these were like the 2 runners that the bus originally had, in between the fiberglass layers, but we were adding much more in than what was there. Here, just cutting out some last rusty bits that we still have to address, but you'll kind of see the ceiling design develop as we go here, but you see there's still a ton of play in it here. That's why we had to use these poles and continue to use these poles until we had all this built in and posts and things supporting it as well. So here's us doing another random project, painting the grill. Sometimes you change it up. And then we were on to subfloor. So we did 2x3s and 1.5 inches of pink foam insulation, and pretty simple subfloor design. Then it was time to just keep working it up with the framing, and just kind of made things up as we went, and knowing where we needed some fixation points and things like that, we just started building away and fixating a lot to the metal framing of those windows. Apparently this was Wednesday. This is filling in some of the rotten wood we had taken out and then adding in some more framing here. Realized we wanted another structural piece down the middle of the ceiling, so we added those in, and those were all adhered to the ceiling, so we had to let them sit for 7 days at a time. So it was a tedious process. You can see where we started in the back, and then eventually we worked our way forward 7 days at a time. It's just a quick exhaust clip. So we rerouted the exhaust at one point. That's a fun project. Our exhaust was all rotten all the way back, had a bunch of holes in it. So quick little reroute, and we'll see how it does on the road. So here we had one section of flooring. I told you we couldn't get this flooring back in when we were doing the rest of our subfloor, and Reg and I got it back in there with a little bit of additional body damage that we have to touch up with some more Bondo. So here we are finishing the subfloor, putting in the foam insulation, and then we also put some aluminum tape on all the seams there to help kind of with a vapor barrier, or moisture barrier, I guess you could say. There was one little piece in the back that we needed to weld in and we were waiting to do forever, and my cousin Taylor finally did it for us, so thank you, Taylor. It felt good. Oh, it was Tuesday here. It felt good to get that done and finally be able to finish the floor. Then this was the final reinforcement that we needed to put into the ceiling. So these were metal strips I decided to put across the ceiling, 14 gauge steel 5-inch strips, and so this was reinforcing the ceiling a little bit and giving it some structure to that just overall mold. It was 2 layers before of outer fiberglass structure, inner fiberglass, so that's kind of what we recreated here with this, and then additional ceiling that we put on top of these metal pieces, and obviously with spray foam insulation in between, which you'll see shortly. But this really reinforced it quite a bit, and we put also 4x4 posts in here, which you may have already seen. There's one right there, but those are what's now giving our ceiling all the structure it needs, and it is super mega solid. We walk up there and it's an amazing feeling. Here we go with the infamous house door. If you know the bus, you know it's got an orange door. So we found a door in my brother's garage that we rent the house from, and asked him if we could use it on the bus, and said sure. So refurbished the whole thing, changed out the windows for Lexan, put a deadbolt on it, and painted it orange because why not? We were feeling a little spunky that day, I guess, and orange was calling to us. So found the right shade of orange, and we're very happy with it. And I think people are more surprised that they like it more than they think they would. So then we were starting to prep for spray foam. Here we are just doing some last minute framing, decided to tint all the windows up to a certain level where all the countertops and couches and things are going to be. Just helps give a little bit of extra privacy, and then that way you're also not seeing the backs of countertops and things like that. And this was surprisingly easy. And then we also put in framing there. Here, the back door you saw fall off earlier. Obviously, we had to make some framing for a new back door as we're going to build it. And so I totally had to make this up, you know, just kind of figuring out some basic framing and what we're going to do for the type of door that we're going to make and how we could incorporate it with the structure we had already put into the bus. So this was certainly a challenge, just like many other things on the build, but a good challenge. So some other last minute tinting, and then you can see the pieces we put on the windows there that are going to add a little bit of additional insulation behind where we put some of that tint. And then we started prepping for spray foam, and we were really excited to get this done. This was just a few weeks ago, and the prep made all the difference with this. If you watched the video, if you haven't watched the video, you're curious about spray foam or might do spray foam yourself, go check out our spray foam video. We did a big walkthrough, but man, all the prep work made all the difference there, and we're super happy with how it turned out. Got a lot of it covered up with the ceiling now, which we're also very excited about. But these were some last minute furring strips we put in here, and then onto spray foam. It was a hectic few hours of work, but when it was all said and done, it was great, and you know, already makes a difference inside the bus. You can tell. I was sweating my butt off this day because it's got to be pretty warm, and then you're in that suit and the spray foam is giving off heat as it's curing, so it's a hot and messy thing, but should be worth it in the long run as far as regulating your temperature within the bus, whether it's hot or cold or whatnot. So here you get to see how much the spray foam just turns into confetti as you shred it. Then here's us finishing up the door and finally getting it mounted. This was pretty recently, and making this door frame. Never made a door frame before, never hung a door, but we made it happen, learned some things, and now we got an orange door with a deadbolt, combination deadbolt, and it's all sealed up, and we're about to make a rear door now, so that's coming up soon for you guys to all be excited for. And that's it, guys. That's all the clips from all the videos up to this point that I kind of chopped together. I hope you liked this little look back at our first year. Those of you who've been with us the whole time, we thank you so much. Those of you who are new, we thank you for joining and subscribing. Those of you who are new and not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button. As you can tell from this little journey in time, we've been through a lot, and we've got a lot more exciting things to come. We're ready to start getting all the finishing pieces of the build going, and really making it feel like a home, and then taking it out and living in it full time, and just bringing you guys along every step of the way. So thank you for watching. Please give it a like if you like this video. Let us know what your favorite part of our whole year was. Whatever it is, we love to hear from you guys. Reg says hello. Sorry she can't be here. She's at work right now, but needed to get this video out for you guys. Thought this would be one you'd enjoy. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.